Hey everybody, my name is Deja and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be rereading City of Bones after almost 10 years. So you will see me look this way throughout the video because I'm actually filming this intro at the end, but I'm going to be rereading City of Bones throughout this reading vlog. I don't know what possessed me. I've been in a very rereading mood. I really want to reread The Hunger Games as well, but I thought I would start here because my friend Quinn wanted to buddy read this with me. So Quinn and I are going to be buddy reading this throughout this vlog. Now, do we do a great job of buddy reading? No, but it doesn't matter. So this is a super nostalgic book for me. So I'm going to go through my reading history a little bit because this is actually a pivotal part of my reading history. So I've always been a huge reader, and I kind of stopped reading once I hit 4th grade because I transferred schools. But once I transferred schools in 4th grade to Catholic school. Then I moved down here in 5th grade, so I was at a different elementary school again. And in that, my friend at the time, my best friend at the time, she asked me, like, want to go see Catching Fire? Because that was the movie that was coming out. And I was like, yeah. So I watched The Hunger Games for the first time and we went to see Catching Fire. And I became obsessed. I read The Hunger Games, and then I think that this was the 2nd or 3rd series that I read after that. So it was The Hunger Games, it was Divergent, and this series, and then Vampire Academy, and The Fault in Our Stars. I would say that was primarily like the pivotal young adult books that I was like super into, and even like the Shatter Me series. Those were like the ones that I was really into, and this one, Cassandra Clare, was a huge part of my reading life for a very long time. I read all of this series. I've read all of the Infernal Devices. I read the first book in the last hours, and I read Lady Midnight. So I've read a lot of her books. I own a lot of her books. I'm basically over 10 books into this author, but I did also want to discuss how Cassandra Clare is slightly, I'm not going to say slightly because that is really up to interpretation. She's been known to be a problematic author, which I don't necessarily want to promote problematic authors on my channel, but I thought this would be a fun video idea. And to me, it's not like she's been abhorrently racist or anything like that. So for me, I'm okay with talking about her on my channel still. There are some authors that I'm not okay with, but if you ever see me talking about a problematic author, I may honestly not know. So I would love if you would tell me down in the comments, or I have done my own research and come to the conclusion that I'm okay with talking about them on my channel. So I did want to go over some of her problematic things though, just to discuss, just to open up this conversation on my channel. So the first problematic thing that she's really done is she had some plagiarism accusations, and this is like one of the biggest things surrounding her, and it's been claimed that she's had a substantial portion of fan fiction and other works in her early writings that she did not give proper citation and attributions for. In the beginning, Cassandra Clare is also known for online bullying and stuff like that. As I said in the beginning, she does not really participate in this behavior at all, so obviously she's grown, whether or not that's for selfish reasons or actually realizing what she did is wrong. Personally, for me, I haven't seen any bullying since I started reading her. It was very much like in her early days, especially when she did used to write fan fiction. It was more of that, and in the early days of her career. So obviously I believe in people growing and changing and realizing their mistakes, and I don't think that just because somebody makes mistakes in their past means that we can't forgive them in their future. You know what I'm saying? The other two things that I wanted to talk about is her representation in her books relating to race and the LGBTQ community. I would say honestly, for her series being written in the early 2000s, she has pretty, I'm not gonna say decent, but for the time, pretty decent diversity, specifically including like the LGBTQ community and some people of color. I definitely wish that there were more black characters, but some of the main characters of the cast are people of color, and in her shows and stuff, they are cast as people of color as well. I feel like some of them are kind of iffy that you don't know their race necessarily, but I do recognize, like, obviously with race, I feel like that one is really major, that she has a lack of representation in her series. But also, I don't know how I feel about white authors incorporating people of color into their stories, especially as main characters. Specifically, side characters is different, but I would say like there's like a main cast in the Mortal Instruments, and if one of those was black or something and the representation was bad, I would be more upset than if she just didn't have it at all, to be honest, because I feel like I would rather have black authors write their experience than have white authors write experiences that they don't know. Unless, again, I think it's good to have diversity with side characters, which I feel like Cassandra Clare has definitely improved upon in her series, is diversity overall. And I know with the LGBTQ community, some people have really resonated with the representation and some people really don't like it at all. So I feel like that's how a lot of representation is, especially when it isn't own voices. So I think this is connected to a larger conversation of, should non-owned voices authors be writing this representation into their books, because it could end up problematic. Of course, they have sensitivity readers, but there's always going to be people who have problems with it. I think when an own voices writer writes their own story, it's not a representation of the race as a whole or that community as a whole. So when someone doesn't resonate with it, they'll be like, okay, well, even though I'm a part of this community, this is just one person's experience in the community, and our experiences don't have to align to make their experience valid. But when an author who isn't part of that community writes a experience that doesn't fit with people in that community, it can get really dicey, I would say. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there before I get canceled. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into this reading vlog, so let's pop back to past Asia and she will start talking about the book. So I thought that we could talk about City of Bones in the Moral Instrument series and Cassandra Clare while I do my skincare. So yeah, I'm recently started a new skincare regimen because of all these dark spots that I have. I barely get like pimples for real, but if I get any little mark on my skin, it turns into a pimple. I wanted to see how the series stands up over time because I really loved it back in the day. If you don't know what City of Bones is about, somehow we follow Clary Frey, and she finds out that she is part shadow hunter and part of this whole underground shadow hunter world that has fae and vampires and werewolves and all these other creatures involved, because her mother disappears and her disappearance is related to the shadow hunter world, and her mother just never told her, but that is what's going on. Her mother was purposely trying to protect her from the truth. And so over the course of the book you find out what is going on, why her mother disappeared, and we're slowly getting to know the world with Clary. And I remember I used to love the characters and the writing, so that's what I'm really like looking forward to see if it stands up over time, because I don't know if it will. So I'm really excited to test it out and see how it is. And I've never listened to the audiobooks of it because I don't even know if I knew what audiobooks were back when I read the series. So I'm excited to try out the audiobook and see how that format is going to work for me. But I also have the book on my Kindle. I left the physical book at home on accident. I was going to grab it when I went there the other day, but I forgot. But I'll have it for the end of this reading vlog. So I have the ebook and the audiobook right now, and hopefully the physical book later on. Yeah, I'm really excited to try out the series again because I have not read a Cassandra Clare book in years, probably since like 2017, 2018, so it's definitely been a hot second. Damn, 5 years? It definitely has been since at least like 2018 that I read a Cassandra Clare book. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how it goes because it was such a pivotal part of my life. It became such a part of my identity. Okay, listen, I'm 3% in to the ebook, and I did not realize that these people were 15. Like, even like there's already been them related to like sexual things, like they've already kind of been innuendos for sexual things, and I don't want to think about 15-year-olds sexually, personally. Like, I don't want to think of them in that way. And then also the writing is very easy to read, I will say that. The writing is very easy to read. I did not realize that they bring up the character Valentine this early. And also Simon is still annoying, still despise him, don't like him, and Clary's dumb. Because in what world will you see a group of people go into a storage room and then you go in there after them? Like, they could be doing a drug deal or whatever, like, you don't know, and you're just gonna go in there? That's white people stuff. It is definitely white people stuff, because just coffee, black like my soul. That is so cringe. Like, okay, Cassandra. So Quinn and I just got off sprints for our second day of buddy reading City of Bones, and I'm officially in the second part now. I'm halfway through chapter 11, and I was gonna make this non-spoilery, but I haven't filmed the intro yet, so I'm actually gonna make it spoilery. So we found out more about Clary's memory being blocked and about Magnus, which I really like in this, how the characters who are introduced are pretty necessary throughout the rest of the series, and you like unnecessary people are not really introduced, in my opinion. I also really like the world, but it is heavily info dumpy because it's one of those tropes where obviously the character doesn't know about the world, so all the other characters are introducing them to all the different elements of the world just by dropping random information in bits here and there. But I love the world. I love the magic system. I will say Cassandra Clare, that does stand up over time, even though she's kind of a person. She does know how to craft a world, which I can understand why she would want to write so many different series in this world, because it's just so immaculately built and so flawless. So I would personally be scared that it would be like the only good world that I can build, that I couldn't ever build another good world. And so I'm really liking the characters. Claire is annoying, but I really like the characters. The only thing is that in the audiobook, the characters have English accents, and I don't ever imagine them, not Clary, but all the Shadowhunters, because Idris has like a British accent, like that country has like British accent. Shadowhunters kind of have like a British accent, which one I don't really like because it shows that they're not really regional, but they definitely are, and they speak so many different languages. But I just never imagined them like that. Like in the movie, when I read it the first time, like I never imagined them with accents like that. Like I just thought that they would be American. I also really like how New York is implemented into this series, and there were some really iconic scenes, like them going to the diner, if you know about the diner, which I really like because Claire's learning about other creatures within the world a lot more, and about their food and stuff like that. I just love food, and I love a diner. It's so cozy. And then also, like, even another food related one is when Izzy cooked food and it was terrible, so they ordered Chinese food. That is so iconic. And so I'm just having a really good time rereading this, honestly, even though Clary is annoying as usual. Simon's annoying as usual. Heavy on the Simon is annoying as usual. But also, I'm really loving the world and the world building, even though I would say I love the world, but not the world building. Because I love the world, but not the way that she's building the world and, like, the way that we're learning about it. The writing is very digestible, very easy to read. So overall, I'm really liking it. Happy Cinco de Mayo, by the way. I don't know when this is going up, so I'm definitely aging this video, but this is Cinco de Mayo today. I made us tacos and stuff like that, so it was really good. Tomorrow is my last day, my last full day, so I will be packing up a lot of my room, but I feel like a lot of it is already packed up. I don't know. So yeah, but I will talk to y'all when I have more of an update. I'm at home. I finally made it back. So it's actually been a couple of days since I updated you. I think I last updated y'all maybe Saturday night, or was it Friday night? I can't remember. But it's been a couple of days, and I'm actually about, I think I'm almost on chapter 21, which is the chapter that we're supposed to start at for the very last day of the buddy read. Yeah, I think I'm basically at part 3, so I read all of part 2, which I think I just started part 2 when I last saw y'all. I don't know why I'm doing this, but this is the last section of Quinn and I's buddy read, and she is actually a little bit behind, like further behind than me, so I'm gonna wait until she catches up because she's on day 3, so she has to read day 3 and day 4. And once she reads that, we'll do day 5, so probably in like 2 days. But as I said, I read all of part 2, and some really iconic scenes happen here, like Simon turning into a rat, and then them having to go into the vampire lair to get them. And then I forgot that there was all this tension with Alex being gay and how he couldn't come out because of the conclave, and then also how he has this big crush on Jace, and then now Simon is like, Clary, I love you, and she was like, I know, and he was like upset because she didn't say I love you back, but he helped her anyways because he was their getaway driver who ended up saving the day when they went to that lady's house to get the cup. And then they got the cup, and then Hodge turned on them, and Valentine came and stole Jace. Like, so much has happened. I feel like I just did a whole recital of what I read, so that is mostly what I read. And then obviously when Simon got turned into the rat, they were at Magnus's apartment, so that was our first introduction to Magnus, which was iconic as usual. Simon is still annoying because him and this I love you, Clary, like, please, if you don't be a little for real, that girl does not want you. Like, I don't know. That girl does not want you, please. And then her and Jace, but then the lady, when she was doing like the actual tarot and stuff, or reading leaves, I think, for Jace, she was like, you're gonna fall in love with the wrong one, then it's going to be Clary, obviously, which if you read the rest of the series, you know what occurs. At least if you read to like this 3rd book, you'll know the full thing. The 2nd book though, you'll kind of know. But the writing is like a little cringe, but it's honestly not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, I feel like I could pick this up today for the first time and I wouldn't notice it as much. Like, if this was repackaged and republished today, I feel like it wouldn't be terrible. It's not like, okay, I'm not trying to do nobody, but Zodiac Academy writing, not a fan. And then also the Crave series, not a fan. Those are like the same category of like terrible writing, and this I wouldn't say fits into that. And I know a lot of my friends like Zodiac Academy. Maybe the writing gets better later on, but I read the first book and I didn't hate the book, I just didn't like the writing. So the writing's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I'm really liking all the character dynamics and all the iconic scenes that are like ingrained into my brain. I don't know if it's because I've seen the movies and the TV show and this book. I haven't watched the whole TV show, but I've seen parts of it and the movie, and I read this book. It's just like ingrained into my head, and I feel like I'm remembering so much that I don't always remember from books. I also found out that I've actually reread this book in 2018 and I had no idea that I did. So that's also probably a contributor. This is my third time reading this book and I didn't even know. So, and as you can see, I have the physical copy now. I forgot to address that elephant in the room, but I have the physical copy because I'm back home, and I didn't realize I tabbed this book up. Like, I could have been seeing what I thought was important this whole time, but at least I'll be able to, for the last chunk, be able to actually read it and see like my couple little annotations here at the end. So that'll be really, really fun. I hate the way I placed these flags. Like, they're all like not even and stick out so far from the book, and they also are paper. I feel like why does this one stick out so far from the book? But I'm really excited to continue on reading this book. The last section I know is gonna be a banger because Jace is gone and kidnapped. So Clary's obviously gonna try to get him back, and Al's gonna be brooding, and Isabel's just gonna try and be a little happy but not too happy because that's not really her personality. But yeah, and also Hodge, don't like him at all. I'm going to actually go edit a different video right now, so I'll talk to y'all when I made some progress in this, probably in a couple days. So I am almost done with City of Bones. We have one last chapter left. You can't even see because I'm using this. We have one last chapter left and the epilogue, but the last chapter is pretty long, like at least in the audiobook. Like, you can see it's like a pretty thick section. So I thought I would update y'all before I got to the last chapter, and I hate to say it, but I'm loving this. It's just so nostalgic for me. I don't know if I would be loving this as much if I was reading it for the first time now, but I'm absolutely adoring the nostalgia of it all and just having a great time. Clary finally found out that, what's his name, Luke is a werewolf, and Jace got taken by Valentine, Hodge got revealed, and so I'm having such a good time. And now it just got revealed that Jace is the son of Valentine, and Clary also found out that her mother used to be married to Valentine, so obviously they're going to put the pieces together that they're related. But you know, if you've read further on in the series, you know. And I think I might reread at least through City of Glass, because in City of Ashes, Jace, I don't want to spoil that one, but Jace has a very interesting plot line in City of Ashes, and I really, really want to reread that. I love that part of it, and this is just like so ingrained in my brain, and I didn't even know it. I'm absolutely adoring this, and I can't wait to finish off this last little section with Quinn. We both got to this part, and we're going to like basically be reading it together. So I think I'm going to read this. If you can't tell, I'm watching some reading sprints back here. These are from Covers with Cassidy for Escape the Readathon, which we're on prompt or door number 2, I should say, for my team, and I've already read 2 books for each prompt, so I'm good for that. So that's why I'm going to finish this today. And yeah, so I think I'm going to read some while I finish up this sprint, and then I think I'm going to listen to the audio and finish it off while I'm doing a little hot girl walk, because it's not that warm outside today. So it'll be a hot girl walk, but not a hot girl walk, you know?
I'm saying, like, I'm not gonna be hot. I'm hot. I'm the hot one, not the temperature. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited to finish this off, and I'm just loving every single minute of this. It's so fun and fresh and nostalgic, and even though the writing's a little cringe sometimes, I feel like it's a little self-aware, like more self-aware than I thought, and it holds up a lot better than I thought it would. I'm not saying it 100% holds up, but it holds up better than I thought. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm going to continue reading with this, and I will come back and update y'all when I finish.
Don't take it personal, I ain't lying, I ain't hiding, I've been grinding, multiplying. I've been trying to get my weight up, staying prayed up, meditating and taking time away. You always posting up pictures, trying to look like you're winning. I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking in moments we live in, yeah. You got the nerve to be on me, faking your life that I IG. If you got my number, don't add me, cause baby, I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. Baby, don't check for me. Taking time out to be and live my life off screen. Taking time out to be and live my life. Hey. Just don't do and live my life. Don't take it personal. We just building. It's my season, lay foundation. Make a name for generations, please and make a and take a break or a little vacation and chasing blues away. Hey, hey. You always posting up pictures, trying to look like you're winning or look like you always be working.
So I finished City of Bones, and surprisingly, this book is going to be like a 4 or 4.5 for me. It was super nostalgic and fun, and I had such a great time. There were so many iconic scenes, and I actually do think that the first 3 books and the 5th book are my favorite books in this series, so all of those would probably get at least 4 stars, and I just had a really good time. So in the latter half of this book, we obviously see Valentine. He ends up escaping, and they get Clary's mother back. But we don't really see her that much, but Jace and Clary's whole world has been altered because now they think that they're siblings. Whether or not that's true, I'm not going to say, but they are now believing that they are siblings, and Clary and Jace are now told that they are siblings, and they have to deal with that and all the consequences that come with that and their growing attraction to each other. So I think that Cassandra Clare really does know how to write a good villain. Valentine is a great villain. He is not my favorite villain that she's ever written. Actually, Sebastian is, who's a character later on in the series. He is a phenomenal villain. Valentine's good, but not great. But Sebastian is a phenomenal villain. But we need to get through Valentine to get to Sebastian. So I really just had a great time with this book. If you read the series when you were younger and you enjoyed it, I would highly recommend rereading it. I think it holds up fairly well. There are obviously some kind of cringy things, some annoying characters and stuff like that, but this book was published in like the early 2000s, so what can we really expect from it? I think for it being published in the early 2000s, it actually holds up fairly well, and I just love the world. Especially, I think the world is really what makes the series for me, the world and the characters. So I just had such a great time. So on top of like the world, the characters, and the nostalgia, this book is getting a 4 or 4.5. So that's all that I have for this video today. I hope that y'all enjoyed. Leave a bone emoji down below if you made it to the end of this video, and I will see y'all in my next one. Bye everybody.
Trying to look like you're winning. I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking in moments we live in, yeah. You got the nerve to be on me, faking your life that I IG. If you got my number, don't add me, cause baby,